have a related question about the CBDC and Bitcoin. So what do you think about competition between two that? So basically the CBDC will be the mass adoption, mass acceptable from the central banks, and Bitcoin maybe will be acceptable from the most most of general public. Or what do you think about that?
Yeah. So if I may just go into that. So what we've got to recognize, so a central bank digital currency is essentially digitizing currency that already exists, right? So sovereign currencies. And if you look at that, we have a relationship between tokens, Bitcoin being the first, and on-ramping and off-ramping to fiat currencies now, right? And they coexist because Bitcoin sort of acts as a sort of digital gold, so to speak, and the centralized currencies are used for everyday use of transactions, so as a medium of exchange in the sort of main business world and consumer world. But there's an interaction where you can swap between them. I think when CBDCs are introduced, I don't think they will take over from Bitcoin, simply because they have borders, right? There's sovereignty and relationship to a country. So I think one of the panel members was sort of mentioning that a lot of stable coins are dollar based, but CBDCs, there's 71 countries that are have CBDC projects. One of them being Jamaica, which I put on LinkedIn this year, where the government was saying they expect in the next 3-4 years 70% of the population to be using CBDCs. But I expect you'll see situations where you can swap a CBDC to buy Bitcoin, and you'll go from Bitcoin, either to hold or to go into other cryptos. So my view is I see these things interoperating. But what I haven't seen is any real thought to how these things come together in the form of an economic flow or a currency flow, and how you get a return. Because for example, I'm assuming that the rate of return for holding a CBDC will be the bond rate or the interest rate for the national government. That isn't the rate of return for crypto, like Bitcoin. The rate of return for Bitcoin is the capital gains from a sort of increase in price, and anything you can stake on DeFi. So I think a lot of what I'm trying to work out, and I think maybe this is the question, is how will these prices of CBDCs interact with the price of Bitcoin? And my answer is it happens now with traditional fiat currency. Will there be a difference when CBDCs come around? I don't know, because I don't think anyone's really mapped out that interrelationship. So I'll probably end there and hand over to the other panel
members. In my opinion, I completely agree. I don't think that there will be a big difference between what we have now and what we have with CBDCs in relation to Bitcoin price, because the biggest one will probably still be digital dollar if US moves to that, and then you'll still will be valuing your Bitcoin in the dollar probably. And I didn't study CBDCs or the proposals or things like that, so I'm just assuming that it's gonna work the same way as the classic fiat currencies work. So if the government feels like they need to print more, they'll print more. They'll issue debt as bonds, and that's just how it's going to work. So there is no really there is not a big change with relation to Bitcoin. Where I kind of worry about CBDCs is the traceability of all transactions and kind of the connection to the digital and then real identity. Right now, today we talked about digital identity, people being identified by a wallet, where you have some NFTs and that represents your digital identity, but it can't be easily tracked to your real identity in a state. But with CBDCs and a government issued wallet, you will be traced by that. And if the government doesn't want you to spend money on something, they'll just make sure that it's not possible, or they won't give you money if you start spending it on alcohol or whatever, right? So that's a real issue there, but it's not connected to the question really. So no, I don't think that it's going to influence price of Bitcoin or anything like that.
I don't really think that CBDCs are a story of cryptocurrencies. CBDCs are a story of a central bank taking control over money supply, which now is in the hands of commercial banks. So it's just like the central banks will regain some power which it allegedly had, and in the economic textbooks you might read that the central bank is responsible for monetary policy or money supply, which is not really the case, and central banks are less and less capable of affecting the real money supply. So now they will be, and they will be able to do more tricks with a more unorthodox monetary policy. So it's not that much about crypto. Maybe crypto is an excuse, like they say, well, it's a reaction to crypto, and now we have the technology to distribute money directly to the people. Well, no. It's nothing decentralized about it. It is central banks, digital currencies. It's centralized. They had a CBDC in Ecuador, and they stepped out of the project. They canceled it after a couple of years, like 2 years, and it had nothing to do with crypto. What is interesting is that some countries which are experimenting or which are starting their CBDCs became hostile towards crypto or more than they used to be, like Nigeria or China or the Ecuador. So this might be an issue. I think it's important how European Union as the biggest market will behave, and we will have the Czech presidency when the regulation should be finalized. And most important is what the United States will do. And now I have quite high hopes, and I believe that the US regulators are a little bit more informed. And they make a little bit better regulations.